Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Arizona's Real Estate TV. My name is Kim and I am your host as always. Today you're going to learn a little bit about Tucson starting from approximately after World War II, and I'm going to present to you an organization that stepped to the forefront to fulfill the housing need that came about after the end of World War II. This organization you're very familiar with, I'm sure, from the home show that it presents twice a year. This organization's name is Southern Arizona Home Builders Association. And I'm going to give you a different perspective and information that you may not know about the association from the past. And that information is that its goal at the inception was to provide planned housing choice, housing affordability for the community as it continued to grow at that time, and also it stepped in definitely at the forefront for not only advocacy of the home building industry that was needed at the time, but for Tucson, its current community, and for future community for years to come. I hope you enjoy the show. I have never been more excited to present a show to you, and here we go. Picture it, Tucson in the 1940s, a time where Tucsonians are doing the boogie woogie to swing music, a time also known as the GI generation, a time made famous for the slinky, however, a time made most memorable by World War II. Prior to this memorable time, Arizona's main source of income were the 5 C's: cattle, cotton, copper, citrus, and climate. It is also during this time period that Arizona flourished until the declines of the stock market and the Depression put the state into a period of decline. This went unchanged for the most part until the beginning of the Second World War in 1939. With intervention in Europe being inevitable, the federal government authorized the military to build new bases in Arizona, including Davis-Monthan Army Airfield, Marana Army Airfield, and Ryan Airfield. The conversion of Davis-Monthan Airfield from a municipal airport to an Air Force training operations at the outset of World War II expanded the economic base for the community. Along with the growth in the military and aviation industries, World War II ushered in an era of growth, prosperity, and demand for housing in the Tucson metropolitan area. Attracted by jobs, affordable homes, and mild climate, the population grew by 368%. To address the needs for housing created by the population growth and take advantage of the low cost in land, many outside national builders came to Tucson, which created tension among the community and concern among the local home builders. The rapid growth and physical expansion of the urbanized area in the post-war period made matters worse and brought to light the need for planning. This planning would be used as a tool to establish standardized physical development, organized growth while encouraging development, rationalizing, and the need to continue to expand. A number of planning efforts were supported by the business community and town boosters. One such organization was born from this, and the need to address other concerns of questionable business practices and the use of non-unionized labor. This organization was named Tucson Home Builders Association. The goal was to present a strong, unified voice at the city, county, and state level. Their efforts not only created that voice, but established a strong, active organization that still serves the Tucson community today, known as the Southern Arizona Home Builders Association. Founded by Charlie Wilson, Yael Epstein, Robert Lusk, Gordon Fremming, and Marvin Volk, the Southern Arizona Home Builders Association has been advocating for public policies and developing activities and services that further the home construction industry, increasing housing opportunity and choice in Tucson and Southern Arizona since 1952. Today you will meet current members of SAHBA to learn more about the history, the influence, and community involvement that continues to be present in our Tucson community today. So we are back for another segment totally devoted to SAHBA, and I am here with John Wesley Miller, and he is the developer and builder for the Vision Home in Armory Park. Am I saying that right?
Armory Park del Sol.
Armory Park del Sol. But John is here with me today because he's going to talk to me about his involvement with SAHBA. Apparently he's been a longtime member and he has lots of things to say. So when did you join SAHBA?
Actually, I started going to SAHBA with my dad probably in the 50s.
He had you working young, huh?
Yeah, yeah. My dad was president in '62, and I was president in '85.
So you came here from Missouri, and your dad was a builder and got involved with SAHBA. And what time frame, what years time frame are we looking at for that?
Well, let's see. I brought you a picture of the 1957 Parade of Homes, and that's when things were kind of going pretty good. Yale Epstein was president that year. There had been, I think, 3 before him. Marvin Volk was the president. Bob Lusk was the president, big time builder here in town. Gordon Fremming, those were the early guys. And so my dad knew all those guys, and they all convinced him to be a member. So in the mid-50s, early to mid-50s.
And was that about the time frame when Tucson saw this like boom in population kind of a thing?
Well, actually, we had a boom right after World War II. There was a housing shortage. Believe it or not, when we came to town, we lived in a converted chicken house. 1 room, everything in 1 room, and we had to walk across the landlady's backyard to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I was just thinking, where was the toilet? So World War II came, and what, the vets, or after World War II, the vets started returning to Tucson, right?
Well, a lot of people had moved away to work on construction, you know, war housing, and projects all over. Like my dad worked at the atomic energy place in Tennessee part of the time, and Kansas City, Bell Aircraft Plant. So people that were stationed at Davis-Monthan and out at Marana learning how to fly found out about Tucson, wonderful climate. So right after the war, people started coming back. Tucson was not only a wonderful climate, there were jobs here.
Right.
So housing became very short.
Right.
So a lot of the homes that had been converted during the war to rentals, they had lots of homes that were in this old Armory Park neighborhood. Some homes had 4 apartments. Now they're 1 house again.
Right.
So things, as the economy changed, the environment, the culture began to change a little bit. A lot more people from all over our country, all over the world. So SAHBA became very important. But, you know, make it clear, initially it was Tucson Home Builders.
Right.
And then we changed to Southern Arizona because we included other counties.
When Tucson Home Builders, or SAHBA, was formed, I was, in my research, reading that it was formed because there was a need. A lot of national builders were coming in, and was it their work ethic, or what is it that kind of didn't go over well that caused SAHBA to be formed?
Well, you know, I think you always have in an old town, you got the guys that have always been there.
Right.
And they may be a little resentful of new people coming to town. But Tucson's always been that way. From the beginning of time, it was growing.
Right.
And new people were always coming, and the local merchants wanted new people. I mean, that generated more sales of whatever they were selling. Ice boxes, now refrigerators. Ice, now we make our own ice. But those kind of things, and all of the grocery stores, back then you'd have a grocery store on every corner. Now we have supermarkets.
Right.
So housing changed just like everything else changed.
Gotcha.
The railroad came to town in 1880. Home building became more formalized. Codes became more important. Safety in housing became extremely important because nobody wanted fires. Nobody wanted their house to fall down.
Right.
So durability became more and more important, and the preventive maintenance part of home building started to become more important.
Okay. And is that how SAHBA then got involved politically?
Yeah, and as zoning started to become more of a reality, and as builders became more affected by the zones they could build in, then it became more important to be involved in the community.
Right.
Not just politically, but involved in all the charitable things.
Right.
SAHBA has a history of being a very giving organization. The year I was president, I could look around my boardroom and find somebody involved in almost every charitable activity in the community, which was wonderful.
Right.
We as home builders provide jobs so people
Right.
can support their families. We make them more and more energy efficient, so it's more sensible to own a home than it used to be.
Right.
The costs are up, but so is everything.
Right.
So
Right.
when we look at the importance of home building, it's just hard to find many things that are more important.
And you know, there's that saying, where much is given, and I could be, I'm just summarizing here, where much is given, much is expected.
Yes.
So if you are a home builder and you're able to provide certain things, or even help out sometimes with certain people, or if you're better than a little bit, you know, than some other people to help and to give back, especially through SAHBA, is good, because it does show that SAHBA is an organization that is looking out ultimately for the interests of the community as well.
Right, and you know, we've done so many good things in our community as a group. Individually, most of our members have their own favorite things.
Right.
But together, we've done some really major things, like we've raised major funding for the College of Arthritis Center, University of Arizona. So with our fundraising there, it's now over $10, $20 million that we've raised for the university through home builders.
Right, right. Now tell me about this Job Corps. You were telling me before we got on camera.
Right.
Very interesting story about Job Corps. So tell me about that.
Well, the National Association of Home Builders has a group called Home Builders Institute. One of our old presidents, Yale Epstein, that I referred to earlier, was always active in the Home Builder Institute. He was on the group that started and supported the idea of creating a Job Corps, which is job training for young people. We, in Tucson, we even have housing.
Right.
So we train people in the different trades. Now we've expanded that from not just home building, but into the health careers and all kinds of different areas of employment. So when we look at the unemployment rate in younger people, the Job Corps plays a strong role in improving that situation. Home builders locally support the Fred Acosta Job Corps. I've been involved, a lot of my friends at SAHBA have been involved. We actually built their swimming pool so the kids could have a place to swim where they lived and where they were learning. As a young man, when I would go to meetings with my dad, most of the meetings had something going on about community involvement, not just about how we could make more money,
Right.
but how as members of the home builders, we could be contributors, we could be active in the political scene, because we sometimes need to fight for people's right to own homes.
Right.
Because every time they raise a fee, a permit, or
Right.
any kind of a sewer, water fee, that affects the affordability for the individuals in Tucson.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for meeting with me, John. It's been a pleasure meeting you.
My pleasure.
Glad to finally have met you, and thank you for sharing information about your experiences on the community and on SAHBA and your involvement with SAHBA.
You're very welcome.
Thank you very much. And if you guys would like any information or to see pictures for information only about Armory del Sol,
Armory Park del Sol.
Armory Park del Sol, then you can go to our website, and we will link you to John's website, and you can see all the different the colors of the neighborhood, the culture, and even some very, very interesting facts about the Vision home that we're taping in. So I will see you next segment. Thank you again. It was nice to meet you, John. Thank you for joining us again for our SAHBA special, and I am here at John Shorbe Construction and Consulting, and I'm here with John. And John is going to talk to us a little bit about his involvement with SAHBA, politically and community-wise. And we're going to learn a lot more about what SAHBA has done in the past, historically, as well as what they're doing today and possibly in the future. So this is John. Hi, John.
Hi.
It's so nice to meet you for the first time.
It is way cool to meet you.
First of all, tell me about what it is that you do.
Well, we are a general contractor, a construction company. We do commercial work, we do residential work, we build custom homes. We kind of do it all. We'll do windows in this economy.
I gotcha. In this economy. I'll touch base on what you were saying earlier about the permits.
You know, your question was, where are we at with the permits in Pima County? This past year, we did 2,250 permits for 2013, which is absolutely anemic. We're just bumping along the bottom. To give you a yardstick as to where we should be, we did 2,200 permits back in 1973. So if you looked at it in 2009, we did 12,000 permits. So as you can see, it's pretty anemic right now.
And when did you get involved with SAHBA?
I got involved with SAHBA about 1987. We had just split off and formed a new company called Canoe Homes. And I joined SAHBA as a representative from Canoe Homes. Joined the board about 1990. So what would that make me? So like 24 years on the board. Yeah, a long time.
What capacity did you serve on SAHBA's board?
Well, as I was the chairman of the technical committee, and the technical committee deals with all the codes and laws that govern construction. Our industry is second only to those people that dispose of nuclear waste in the amount of laws, codes, and ordinances we have to abide by. So I was the chairman for a long time, then I was president twice, 1987 and again in 2004.
And did you remain politically active as president, maybe even more so than before, or would you say you felt
Oh,
it
absolutely, absolutely. Politics in our industry is kind of go hand in hand. They really do. Well, my first term as president was when we were doing the impact fee debates with Pima County. That was the first time impact fees came into being here in Tucson. And of course, that was a very large and onerous, contentious fight that eventually came to the middle of the road. We agreed with Pima County, and so we set a reasonable rate, and I think everybody came out of that as a win-win.
Right. Now, these types of laws, so to speak, how do they affect the homeowner or the wannabe homeowner?
Well, it's a very good and solid question.
Yeah.
Whatever we get charged, we're going to charge the homeowner. It's simply passed on.
Right.
And people don't understand that. They think, well, we'll just make the builders pay for it. Well, the builders will pay for it, but the homeowner will pay for it in the long
Right,
run.
it kind of trickles down.
It trickles
doesn't it?
down.
It does. It does. And if even to the degree, would you say that it affects the type of home or the quantity and quality of home that you are able to purchase?
If you take a typical home today, impact fees run about $13,000. That's a big chunk of a home and what you put in your mortgage.
Right, right.
Yep.
So then you're paying interest on it as
Absolutely.
well. And
Absolutely.
points.
Yep. Yep.
So it's
Big deal.
important to do things like that to keep things reasonable so that you can afford to have home ownership, which is pretty much what this country's built on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. 7 years later, when I became president again, they needed somebody that had already run the association once.
Right.
And so I was happy to step back in and serve my association one more time.
And now how was it different 7 years later from when you left it?
The big difference was in the first term of my presidency, we didn't have very much staff. So I made a lot of meetings. The second time around, we were lucky enough to have staff, and I didn't have to make as many meetings.
Nice.
So it was sweet. I had more time at home with my family.
So political policy, though, did it change in that 7 years? Did you kind of pick up where it left off? Did the focus vary?
Good question. I actually, from my first term as president to my second term, our ability to work with the various municipalities and governments increased, I would say, tenfold.
Oh, that's good.
And it is, and so we were able to influence things that we do in state level as well as at local level. And it's a lot of it is just simply we want to educate the Board of Supervisors or our district representatives on what it is we're doing and what affects our industry.
Right.
Yeah, well, one of the things that we do is we try to be active in every part of the city government that involves our industry. So I know that the association has asked me to serve on the board, the Building Codes Board, and I have been chosen as the chairman of the Pima County and the City Joint Building Codes Committee. So we have input into what it is we do here in Tucson as far as building codes. And there's a lot of guys like me throughout our association that are active in various other committees throughout the governments, the various, whether it's Tucson, Marana, Sahuarita, Oro Valley, and so on.
So SAHBA has been involved in various housing projects throughout the city due to their political activism, correct?
Absolutely. We're very proud of the fact that in 3 different communities, we built affordable housing for people that couldn't afford it otherwise.
Tell me a little bit about your community involvement then during your time initially as president.
Well, one of the things that people see most of in SAHBA is the home show. And we have tens of thousands of people that go through there each show. There's 2 shows. And they see us more through that than they do most anything else in the community.
Right.
So having said that, like one year, 10 of us builders built 10 playhouses, and they were like 12 by 14 foot playhouses. They were nice little houses. We trucked them into the community center and lined them up in the hall. And we then sold raffle tickets. So somebody if wanted the house that Canoa built, they could go up and stick a raffle ticket in our box. And this went on for the 4 days of the show. And at the end, we then drew a raffle ticket, and that person that wanted that house got that little playhouse. So we trucked it out to their house and set it up for them. Now, each of us builders that had one of those houses took the funds that we received from the raffle tickets and donated them to our favorite charity. And in my case, being a board member of the Boy Scouts of America, I donated probably about $3,000 to the Boy Scouts for their camp programs up on Mount Lemon.
Nice.
It was
That's a good
rewarding.
Organization. Yeah,
Yeah.
I bet they love that.
They did.
I
they
bet,
did.
and I bet you made some little kids very happy with those houses.
Oh boy, I tell you, it was way cool.
Was
and
it?
was, and to watch those kids running through the little houses, you know, that's what people see when they see SAHBA.
Right.
And so they look at us more as what they see in the home show. And there's a lot of other things. We've done projects such as, burrowing owls. You wouldn't believe that a home building association would actually create habitat for animals, but we went in and we built these tubes into these riverbanks for a burrowing owl. And it was these owls then nested in there, and their population started expanding, and it was a kind of a neat project. But then again, that's one of those green things that we do. The community benefits from. And, you know, it's like Habitat for Humanity.
Right.
We built a bunch of houses for Habitat. We did them at our home shows. We built a house in 3 days. And people could come watch us as we worked around the clock building a house. And like this one particular house, I was roofing it. So we're up there roofing the house. We get done, there's guys working all over this thing like little ants. We got done, loaded it up on a truck, and took it out to the Habitat community and set it in place.
You moved it by truck.
And all this is done at no cost to the Habitat for Humanity Association.
Okay, so back to that home. You moved it all in one piece.
Yep, and set it in place, and we then, you know, there's some finishing work we had to do, and we did a grand opening with the folks, just like those other communities I talked about. We do a grand opening. And then in comes the homeowners. To see the smiles on their faces, like way cool.
Was it like watching the homeowners run around the houses, like you were watching the kids run around those playhouses?
Well, the kids ran around the house, they wanting to know which one was their bedroom and so on.
I bet. How exciting is that?
It was.
Oh.
It was.
When you do a home for someone, do they still have to participate, like, was it 75% or something, one of the homeowners?
Yeah, the question is, how do they participate? They are judged by their income level as to how much they can afford to pay for a monthly payment. So they're given a reduced mortgage. The land is thrown in by the city, is put in for free. And then what we did it at cost or below cost. There's 2 other areas that people may or may not be aware of, but one of them is the Arthritis Foundation. We had a golf tournament for, I want to say about 10 years, called the Lute Olson Golf Tournament. And we contributed over $1 million to the Arthritis Center. We sponsor JTED now with our golf tournaments, and we just handed them a check, I think last fall, for $7,000 or something like that. Each of our golf tournaments take the proceeds and donate them to a charity.
There was some involvement with the Job Corps? Job Center?
Yep, Job Center is a different entity along the same lines. One of our members, John Wesley Miller, was very instrumental in setting up this the Job Center, where we refurbished a large building for them to train young men and women to be in the construction industry, to learn a skill.
To give them a skill set.
Yep.
Benefit is SAHBA to its members?
Ah, well, SAHBA is an organization that represent each of its members. We speak on their behalf to the various municipalities, the various government agencies. We're there as an advocate for them. So we watch what is coming down the pike, and we try to steer it in such a way that it doesn't have an adverse effect on its members. That's one benefit. The second benefit is SAHBA members do business with SAHBA members. If my framer is a SAHBA member, my mason is a SAHBA member, my and so on and so on, my drywall company. So we do business with each other. And there's a kind of almost a brotherhood that's created here that you often don't see in other areas of the country.
Yeah, a tight-knit kind of a...
Yes, yes.
Now, when you become a SAHBA member, do you go through any, I don't want to say background checks, but do you go through any kind of...
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There is criteria.
Criteria.
And so you need to be in good standing with the Registrar of Contractors Agency. You need to be in good standing with your banks. They run a credit check on you to make sure that you're not some despot that doesn't pay his bills. And so yeah, there's criteria. If you don't meet those criteria, then we really don't need you as a member, because oftentimes we are asked to. We have an ethics committee.
Right.
That if should something go wrong, we will bring the two parties together. One of the things I do for the association is I represent the Southern Arizona Home Builders at the state capitol for the Registrar Contractors Advisory Council. And so each month I go up and I listen to the rules and regulations that are being amended and changed and so on. I bring them back to our association. I say, okay guys, this is what the government is thinking about. This is what the registrar and the director is thinking about doing. And this keeps us alert to how things are going. Sometimes it's court cases where a builder may have done something that he didn't feel he was in error of, or had not created a deficiency, but yet the courts felt that he did. So we have a court ruling. I then bring that back. We disseminate that information to our members, and so they don't make that same mistake themselves.
So you're the eyes and the ears on the ground sometimes.
Sometimes, well, there's other guys like me that do this, but I happen to represent the more technical aspect of our business. There's guys that are working like this in sales. There's guys that are working like this in politics and so on. But yeah, we take each of us have an area of expertise.
So SAHBA actually also function as like a regulatory or governing kind of a set the standard agency for code of conduct, I guess, how you do business, ethics.
Yep, all of those issues. We ask that our members sign this this agreement that they will in fact adhere to these things that say we will do this at a high level.
Okay, and on that note, what benefit is SAHBA to the community?
Well, the one thing that SAHBA ensures is that the homes that are built today are built in such a way that they are sound, quality construction, and will serve their owners well for, in some cases, the rest of their life. We're there to make sure that happens.
And also to keep costs down.
And keep costs down, keep it affordable. Absolutely, absolutely.
Nice. Well, thank you for your time, John. I appreciate your time.
It's been a fun.
And I know I had some questions there you just weren't expecting, but you did well.
Thank you.
It was nice to meet you, and I hope to see you again soon. We'll have you back on the show.
I'd be happy to.
Okay, so I will see you, viewers, next segment, and thank you for tuning in and meeting John.